So let's go back into the triggering term slipped disc. Let's try not to fearmonger around that. When we talk about someone having a slipped disc or a herniated disc, would be a more extreme version of that. I'm just going to pretend these both came from the same being and stack them. Sure, little Alice in Wonderland here. So basically we've got two bones. We've got the disc here, and maybe the bones, maybe your muscles, for whatever reason, have a tendency to be like this. And I'm kind of doing that with my body. And over time, the theory is that that will squash the disc out in between the bones. Yeah? And that can cause some pain. And it can cause pain because this is where we're going next. Our nerves that are running through this cord here get squished. And because they are highly sensitive, because that's their job, massive alert signals get sent throughout your entire body that are so loud that it's like someone turned the fire alarm on at work, and there is no way you have to get out of that building, but you can't just escape your own skin. And so instead it becomes excruciating, and then we problem solve with medications or surgery or hopefully some physical therapy, because your body in most cases is eminently able to rejuvenate itself. And I'm not saying this at all to disparage the medical system. I have great respect for what it can achieve. I think even when we go for surgery, it's important to remember that our bodies have this remarkable capacity to regenerate ourselves. And we are doing that until we have finally taken our last breath. So it's always happening for you. Now, if we think about the muscles that are making the shapes, if this pinching were happening, and I like this, well, what do I need to do to fix that? I need to use the muscles on this side to create a little more space to pull that disc back in between the vertebrae. And the muscles on either side, adjunct, muscles are binary. They are either contracting or not. They're on or they're off. I am contracting now, and I am contracting now. I can contract in all directions. Contraction is the language of muscle engagement. If I contract my muscles in such a way to support my spinal length, then I'm facilitating an environment for my body where it can actually repair itself structurally and, more importantly, take the pressure off the nerves. So, if you're achy and you shift positions until you find a position where you don't ache, this is the language of movement. Yeah. So now I have my ground score by the skull. The roof of my mouth is right here. Pretty easy to decompress from there. Yeah. And then from there, we were creating movement, teaching our muscles how to articulate while making space. So we're going to do two more movements to finish off this sequence. And ultimately, I recommend that whenever you have a few minutes, you do at least some of these spinal motions, because the difference you will feel is remarkable when you start working this way, unifying your body's intention to create space and fluidity for your spinal cord itself. So now we have sequential movements. So let's push our tongues up against the roof of our mouth, or push our heads up into the sky. Reach your tailbone down to the ground. Lift your heart and keep pulling your hands back against your knees to bring that shape forward, looking up and then look out. Now push down with your hands. Pull your tail under yourself like a scared dog and roll back until you're hanging backwards. And then push your tailbone down to roll your spine up. And then send your tailbone back like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Lift your chest up. Soar your heart forward. Press your legs, roll back. So it's basically this lovely wave motion. And the intentionality within your entire system is to make the space for this to be super fluid. You're welcome to copy my hands, but I talk with my hands, so it might get confusing for you. Also just have a connection to your legs. Roll up, and you're going to pause at the very top here. Inhale. And then take the roller coaster down the Matterhorn. Take your eyes to your chin. Roll your gaze down through your shirt. Send your tailbone under you and then dive your head down. Support yourself on your thighs. Inhale, look up and scrape your gaze around along the wall. Pull back against the knees to come up. And 3 more times, cultivating space, diving down, and then arcing up. And then just sit back, rest. So you felt how there's a different quality of movement when you're prioritizing the creation of space as opposed to simply moving yourself in space. And there's also a difference in the vitality of your system